Martin Daubney, the way it works now is if you've had your children before, what is the date? 2017, you get it for more children. But for children after that, you have a cap at 2. Your first one you get a bit more for, your second one you get a bit less for, and that's it. Is that right?
I think it is. So I've got 2 kids, and when it came to have my second child, I really thought long and hard about, can I afford this? Can I afford a second child? I'm really grateful that I did have my beautiful daughter, Dolly, who's probably watching. Love you, darling. But I just think that we have this split of position on those who work hard and pay their way and those who expect the state to pay their way. And I think Jeremy Corbyn, quelle surprise, wants more people dependent on the state, more people to vote for Labour Party because they're getting handouts. And I think it sets a bad precedent. We see this rolling into public housing stock, council housing stock. And I think there's a huge problem with benefit dependency in the UK. We have 8 million people currently not in work. And I think setting a dependency culture at an early age sets a template for life. And I don't think we should be going down this route. I think where we are at the moment is just about right.
So just in case you're wondering, for your first child, you get £21.80 a week. For your second child, you get £14.45. And then that's your lot. What do you think to it, Peter?
I think Martin's language is appalling. And I think to use words like dependency and imply a culture of fecklessness and living off the state is completely inappropriate.
You don't think that happens?
I didn't interrupt you. So I think, having a child is a gift from God. There's tons of challenges, and I think new parents, but especially new mums, work incredibly hard, often on duty 24 hours a day. This was a policy that was too right-wing even for Margaret Thatcher, and it was the Tories in the 21st century that brought it in, and it's a relatively small sum, and I think it's a cruel policy.
He says you're a little bit out of order with your language.
Not especially bothered if you're offended by my language. I'm more bothered about keeping the balance and checks of the fiscal bill. I mean, we're in record amounts of debt. And this idea that we should just extend benefit dependency and the cost of living to mums, I think is out of step with the time. But then again, what you expect from Corbynomics? Well, it was founded on the magic money tree, and that's what this is now. And unfortunately, we have a Tory government which believes in the same sort of endless giveaway policies. And what we should be doing is, I'm all for people making the right informed decisions and getting tax breaks, for example, to have children. It's a different thing. Not taking money away from people as opposed to giving money away, I think, is where we're at. We shouldn't be giving more handouts out in today's day and age. I think it sends out the wrong message.
I mean, the premise of what you say is wrong in so many areas. So, for example, I'm not a Corbynite, and what I'm saying, I think, was basically similar to what people like Tony Blair and John Major said about there weren't these restrictions of child benefit them, and Tony Blair and John Major weren't crazy lefties. And he used the word dependency repeatedly as well.
Yeah.
Who can live on £20 a week? Put your hand up.
Well, you get a free house on top. And you don't
get a free house for child benefit.
So hang on.
Don't get a free house for having child benefit.
So if you're a single mother, for example, and you're on benefits, for example, and you get a council house, and then the state is bankrolling you having more and more children, how is that fair to working parents who are thinking long and hard about even having a solitary child in this day and age? It's unfair.
That's not the question we're talking about. We haven't made any reference to whether or not the parent is in work. You're borrowing are basically dog whistle language from the right to support your point. But we're not talking about whether the parent's in employment. We're talking about the costs to the state and the rights of the child. And
by the way, just to be clear, you do get your child benefit if you work as well. But once you start getting up to about, I think it's about 50 odd grand, then you start to lose some of your entitlements. Why do you find the concept of benefit dependency offensive, or whatever word you just used?
Yeah, I didn't use the word offensive, but I do think it's wrong to use the word dependency in this context, because I think, as you said, Michelle, child benefit up to a certain salary threshold is universal. There's no moral judgment made on it. It goes to one-parent family, a two-parent family, whether you're in work or not, and then it tapers off for higher earners. But just to finish that point briefly, there's a separate often very ferocious debate in politics about, that does centre around dependency, and I think George Osborne, who was Chancellor, really fuelled that. But I think trying to import that into a simple discussion about child benefit is wrong.
So let me ask you this very briefly. Aside from child benefit, let's park child benefit very briefly over there. Do you think that people should be a little bit more considerate of financial planning and means whilst considering how many children to have? Do you think your finances should be a factor?
I think finances should be a factor when we plan for family. But what I'd say, and I think what applies to millions and millions of people, is lots of children are unplanned, and those children are still loved, and those children still have the same rights whether or not they're planned.
Yeah, but we also can have birth control. What I'm saying is if we have a situation where it is financially beneficial to have more children if you're on benefits, which we do have, and to deny that benefit dependency is an issue is I think, to live in denial of reality.
Well, it's lucky I haven't.
If you talk to people in places like Ashfield, where my mum has lived for 25 years, there is an absolute feeling that work doesn't pay. It pays to be on benefits. Many people are on benefits on the same amount of money as working.
Which leads me to a good point. I have to go to break, but before I do, very quickly, do you agree that there should be a cap to what you can receive in benefits? I'm talking benefit plural, not
As a household?
single one. Yeah.
Personally, I'd like to get Britain back to a state of prosperity where that can be removed, but we're not there yet.
I don't understand what you mean. If someone's on benefits, do you think there should be a cap as to what they can receive in handouts from the state?
But for the last 80 years, there wasn't. It's a fairly
No, I don't care about 80 years. I'm asking now going forward. Today, in today's society, do you think there should be a cap on how much people can receive from the government in handouts?
I'd like to see it removed when Britain is wealthier.
So you think that someone can be potentially wealthier at home, not working, than someone who goes out to work and grafts?
No, I didn't say that at all.
But if you remove the cap, that's what you would achieve?
Well, offer your evidence.
This boils down
to basic common sense.
It boils down to those on the political left, and I include myself in that. I used to be a Labour voter for 20 years, want more state dependency, more state control, more state involvement, more reliance upon the state, and those on the Conservative side want more self-agency.
Well,